Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the use of the Sure2Grow pad in the production of wheatgrass and microgreens. And you may be saying to yourself, why should I use this product? Well, first of all, it's going to enhance your growing experience because it's pH neutral, it's inert, and it's sterile. And it can be laid down in one piece, unlike the other media choices that you may have available. So you may be asking yourself, how do I seed this up? Well, I'm about to show you. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we're going to be seeding up a Sure2Grow pad for the production of microgreens and wheatgrass. And you're going to need a little bit of a supply list, which is going to include this 10 by 20 tray to start. So what should you do? Well, I would take some water and gently fill up this tray, only to the point where the channels themselves are full, but they're not overflowing on the ribs. This is going to be very important because you don't want the Sure2Grow mat to actually be sitting in pooled water. Pooled water is never great for the root mass because what it leads to is an environment that's not rich in oxygen. And when the environment's not rich in oxygen, we see an increased amount of root-borne disease. So once these channels are full of water, what I like to do is then take the Sure2Grow mat and place it right in that 10 by 20 tray. Now, a little bit of water is going to seep through, and that's great. But what we'd like to do next is I like to take my mister bottle, whether that be a hand pump sprayer, or whether that be similar to one that's, like a Windex bottle, but obviously not one that has Windex in it because you're going to contaminate and kill your plants. So make sure your pump sprayer or your hand pump bottle is clean and free of any type of surfactant or detergent. I just want to drive home to the point of how easy this is. If I was using another type of media, I would have had to spread it all out, make sure that it was even, check the pH, make sure that it was calibrated, when in fact our product is pH neutral and it's sterile and it's inert. And being inert, it's not going to impart anything to your seeds that nature didn't provide them to begin with. So how do I know how many seeds to put in this? Well, I've always seeded by eye, but we do have a reference that we can use with some of the smaller seeds. And talking about arugula, kazuna, mizuna, these are all really common greens that people are growing. We're talking about 2 tablespoons per 10 by 20 tray. That's going to give you optimum density. I like to make my trays slightly more dense. If you're looking at a larger seed, such as radish or sunflower, or what I'm planting today, some purple kohlrabi, you're probably going to use anywhere between 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup. Now, if you're going to be doing wheatgrass, which is also very common, first you're going to take about 2 cups of wheatgrass seeds and you want to soak them overnight for about 8 to 12 hours, at which point then you will seed up the mat. And if there is some overlapping of seeds or seeds are on top of the other, that's okay. They're going to find their way. Those radicals are going to penetrate this beautiful, pristine, white, soft media with no problem whatsoever. So here's how I'm going to seed this up, if we can take a look here. What you want is end to end, side to side, almost as if you're putting powdered sugar onto a donut. You want to make sure that's evenly distributed. And as you can see, I'm probably going to end up with a little more than that 1/4 cup that I gave you. But once again, I like my microgreens to be pretty dense. I like my harvest to be, a little bit larger than most. All right, now that I've got this seeded up and they look pretty even, I want to take that mister again and hit those seeds one more time to make sure that they're nice and moist. Moisture is critically important during this stage of germination. The next thing that you're going to need, though, is a humidity dome. I like to use one of these, very similar to the one I have here, is what I call a low top versus a high top. And I'm going to take that mister and I'm going to spray the inside of that humidity dome as well. I'm going to pop that right on top. And now we're ready to find a dark home for this. Now, I have a myriad of suggestions for you. You can put it in a desk drawer, you can put it in a cabinet, you can put it in a bookcase. But if you decide to put it into a cabinet, make sure it's in an interior wall, not an exterior wall. A lot of people aren't cognizant of the fact that those exterior walls get exceedingly cold, especially in northern latitudes, and that's going to affect germination. You also don't want to put it in a basement because sometimes, whether you know it or not, your basement may be harboring some type of fungus or mold spore. You don't want that to contaminate your planting either. So once we've done all this, we're going to place this somewhere dark. All right, so once you've found a nice, warm, dark home for your seeds to germinate, it's imperative that you still check on them. This isn't a laissez-faire operation completely. You need you to go into that cabinet or into that desk drawer where you place those and make sure that you keep them evenly moist. I do this by misting them 2 to 3 times a day and ensuring that there's no pooling or standing water. Pooling and standing water are the arch enemy of sprouting and germinating seeds. So once you have been maintaining them for about 2 days, what you can expect is a tray that looks something like this. This is a juvenile stage of a flat of microgreens. And if you look, it's evenly dense, which is good. That means I did my job when I seeded them up. And if you let these continue in the dark, they're going to fail. So what's imperative now is that you remove them from that dark, warm spot and place them under some form of light. I suggest fluorescence, whether that be a compact fluorescent, that's those twirly bulbs, or whether it be a T5 high output horticultural light, or even incandescent. Microgreens don't have a tremendous amount of light requirements or restrictions, so just get them somewhere relatively bright and keep that humidity dome on. So as I stated before, after about day 2, and once the radicals have firmly seated themselves in the fluffy, pristine white STG mat, you're going to want to put them underneath some light. And by about day 4 or 5, and when the sprouts start to look sturdy and are standing on their own, you're going to want to remove this humidity dome. The humidity dome, if you don't remove it, is going to force those petioles, stomates to close, and it's going to stunt their growth. It's also going to lead to most likely the production of some type of mold or fungus on your product. And you want them to receive a fair amount of air. So once I've removed the humidity dome, I'm still going to keep them under the light. But by about day 7, you can expect to see something that looks like this. Now this is a perfectly acceptable stage at which you could harvest this material, and it's going to stay good for about another 8 or 9 days. But at which point, when you're approaching day 14 to day 16, that's about the lifespan of this product. So what I want to show you is this pristine white root mass, and what this is indicative of is very healthy roots. And they're very healthy because they've been exposed to the optimum amount of water and optimum amount of oxygen. What I also like to show you is, see the height of these shoots? This is about the optimum stage where you want to harvest them. This is when they're going to taste the best and they're going to be at their freshest. Now, like I said, you can let them go for about 6 or 7 more days and they're perfectly fine. But right about now, this is when they're delicious. So as I was saying, they're absolutely delicious. I mean, I can't get enough of these things. I mean, they're around me all day. And I got my hands in them and I just keep shoving them in my fat yapper. The point is, the Sure to Grow mat is hands down the most revolutionary product for growing microgreens and wheatgrass, and its ease of use is unparalleled. I mean, you just throw the mat down, put some water on it, sprinkle some seeds, and in 7 days you have a nutrient-dense, delicious, flavor-packed crop that you can feed your family. And you know what? Nothing's stopping you from planting up a couple extra flats and taking them down to your farmer's market to help offset the cost of your hobby. So let's review the benefits of using STG mats with microgreen and wheatgrass production. First, our product is pH neutral, sterile, and inert. This gives you a blank slate from which to add nutrient and grow these beautiful, beautiful nutrient-dense crops. Secondly, STG wets instantaneously. There's no need to soak it for 30 minutes or more, and there's no need to precondition it to get the pH just right. These are pH neutral right out of the box. The seeds are easily seen against that stark white background. This allows you to easily identify whether or not the pad has been seeded evenly. The STG mat also provides a optimum combination of aeration and water retention, giving your roots the perfect environment to grow. Finally, the STG mat is the only product on the market specifically designed to grow microgreens and wheatgrass. There really isn't a better option out there. So, bottom line is this. If you want to learn more about the Sure to Grow products, check out our webpage at www.suretogrowcom. And if you have a question about growing, feel free to shoot me an email at grow@suretogrowcom. Thanks for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you again.